With us now, Lauren Wright, Associate Research Scholar, lecturer in politics, Princeton University, a Scott Bolden, NewsNation contributor and former chairman for the D.C. Democratic Party. Nice to see both of you. Scott, is it okay if ladies go first?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I
had good upbringing.
There you go. You did indeed. I will agree with you. Lauren, in the past modern history of the presidencies, has anybody ever won by being so aggressive in their condemnation of 50% of America?
No, and that's open to interpretation, but voters abhor the abstract, and that's what Biden's doing exactly wrong. This argument that Trump's a threat to democracy is not connecting with voters because they care about day-to-day issues. And look, it's absolutely true that Trump says dismissive, horrible things about veterans. He cut a very effective campaign ad to that effect today. It's true that he has flirted with authoritarianism. People do not care. That is what the polls are showing. They care about the economy, immigration. They care about check.
I was going to say the economy, immigration, crime, the economy.
Yeah, they feel less safe and less secure.
Okay, so Scott, I know how much you think that Donald Trump doesn't belong in the White House, right? We can agree on that.
Well, the empirical data and his own words say that.
Okay, fair enough. We're not here to argue. We're not here to argue policy. We're here to argue the politics of it. Why, if Democrats are so concerned about Donald Trump, are they continuing to do something that didn't work for him in 2016, and the polling shows, if anything, it's hurting them now?
Well, it worked in 2020, which is why you have Biden. In 2024, these are facts based on empirical data and Donald Trump's own words. And so we've got to remind America and continue to remind them of who Donald Trump is, because sometimes we get amnesia as voters. But be that as it may, this election is also about abortion, about who Donald Trump is as a convicted felon. And then Biden's got to stand on his own vis-a-vis. He's got to own the economy, the emotional disconnect.
Right. The difference, though, between 2020 and 2024 is that Joe Biden has a record to run on.
Yeah.
In 2020, there was no record. So you could say, hey, look, there's going to be no mean tweets, and I'm going to follow science, and I'm not going to talk about putting bleach in to kill the coronavirus, and things are going to be good. He also had a media that was full cloth, all in for him. And there's a part of the media that still does not understand, a big part, Donald Trump or his supporters. We put the Quinnipiac poll up, one point gain, statistically really insignificant
right.
In terms of that. Brian Sullivan, CNBC, an accomplished journalist and a good anchor, he tweets out the verdict made more people likely to vote than not vote for him. Most don't care. Bonkers. And what I thought is, bonkers is what people who are deplorables and cling to their guns and religion do and act when they threaten democracy.
It's really a difference between what someone does and what they say. And voters have told us time and time again, and we poll them all the time, that they don't care what Donald Trump says. And he says a lot of offensive stuff. They care about the policies. They've seen Biden's policies. They seem to like Trump's better on all these things that are their priorities. So it's a very hard situation for Biden because he is being evaluated on his record, and it's crazy how well Trump is doing, considering all the problems Scott is very good at describing that he has.
So your polling, at least this particular polling, was about Republicans. Well, Donald Trump is baked in, and Donald Trump is right. He could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and his supporters would still be there. And so that's why the polling is what it is. It's the independents, it's the suburban voters, it's the women voters. Are they going to make a difference or not?
By the way, it wasn't Republicans, it was voters overall.
I thought I saw it was Republicans.
No, Quinnipiac, just Biden versus Trump.
Okay, well, it's still baked in. And the biggest issue for Donald Trump is he's stuck at that 45+%. Biden can grow, and the independents and the suburban voters and others have got to make a difference.
Right. I guess what I'm trying to say, though, is the plan to grow so far is by warning about Donald Trump. Those warnings are going unheeded. It's been very difficult, I think we can agree, for him to run on the economy. What's left? Where's he going to get a win?
The abortion and what the GOP and Donald Trump are going to do to individual rights in this country. And if we pound that message, by the time we get to November, when the choice will be clear, there are only two choices here. I believe the Democrats believe that America, those independents, those suburban voters, are going to choose Biden over Trump because he's really the most viable, respectable choice.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.